Talk about how to troubleshoot some of the most common problems you're going to have with this switch. So let's say you've got the switch installed and it just doesn't work physically. Like you push the button, nothing happens on it. And of course this one's working, but let's say you're pressing the button and the switch is not working. The first problem to check is there's a chance you have your hot and your load wires reversed, and that's the black and brown. Remember how we tested that with our voltage tester earlier, but that's one of the most common problems. It won't damage the switch if you had them reversed, but the switch won't operate correctly. So let's just do a verification. That's our load, which shouldn't have power, and that's our line, which does have power. So in this case it's set up correctly, but if your switch wasn't working, that's the first thing I would check. Now the second thing is there's possibility that you have your neutral and your load wires reversed. That's the white and brown wire. Unfortunately, without a multimeter, there's not a great way to test this and make sure that, not a great safe way to test this. So because you're not going to damage the switch, if your switch isn't working at all and you tested the load and the line and they're correct, just try swapping your neutral and your load wire and see if that fixes it. Now the second problem is if the switch is actually, you have a blue light on it, but it doesn't work. So if that's the case, most likely the issue is your hot and your neutral are reversed. So remember, we know how to test for hot. That's the hot, definitely. And the neutral shouldn't show anything. But just because there's no power there doesn't mean that's your neutral. That could also be your load. So you won't hurt the switch if they're reversed. But if the light comes on the switch, but it won't work, that's the first thing to do, is to try swapping those two wires. All right, so with that being said, you've got to learn how to go through the different modes. So if you press and hold the power button, you'll notice the light's blinking slowly right now. If I press and hold the power button for about 5 seconds, the light starts blinking rapidly. That's how you get it into the initial setup mode in the app. I mentioned that earlier. So if you need to get back to that mode, you just press and hold it for 5 seconds. And if you press and hold it for 5 seconds again, it goes through to the next mode, which is the slow blink. So if you're having trouble getting it set up with the rapid blink in the app, there's a second method to use for troubleshooting. So get the light blinking slowly, go back to Add Device, choose Switch Wi-Fi. On this screen right here, you'll see at the top right, there's other modes. Click that and click AP mode. This is going to give us a second method of attempting to configure it when it's not working correctly. So it tells us to confirm it's blinking slowly, which we did. Remember, we do that by simply pressing the power button on the switch for 5 seconds and it'll alternate. And if you're having trouble getting this to work, also test to make sure you have good Wi-Fi connectivity where the switch is. Bring your phone or laptop up there and make sure they can connect to your Wi-Fi. That's one of the first things you should check as well. So it's blinking slowly. We can confirm it's blinking slowly. We go through this same process again of putting in our Wi-Fi credentials. And then this time it's a little different. We're going to click the Go to Connect button, and that's going to bring up our Wi-Fi settings. And you'll see that, give it a second, and the switch Smart Life will show up. So you're going to click and join the Wi-Fi of your actual light switch. So once you do that, go back to the app itself. Now that you've connected to the Smart Life actual Wi-Fi, you'll just, whatever method on your phone, pull back up the app so that you can finish the setup process. And once you get back to the app, it's going to recognize that you're connected, and it's going to go through this same process as before of joining to the Wi-Fi and basically contacting the servers on the internet so that it can start working. And then once that happens, again, I'm speeding this up so you don't have to watch it go in real time. Then hopefully when you get to that point, if you click the switch icon, hopefully the light comes on for you. And now you have a working switch.